programs on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We have Karen Chan speaking on, exact title is 10 Steps to a Smarter Tax Return. So just in time for the season. And then on Thursday night, we have the first of a two-part series on the history of the United States, which the speaker said he literally updated it yesterday. So he is going to, the first part will be from 1914 to 1964. And then the second time, part two will be, I think it's February 18th. So if you're free on Tuesday or Thursday night, we'd love to have you join us just like this. Register, get the link, click, and here we are. So tonight we have Monica Chavez, who is a local conservationist, and she's going to give us tips of how to have zero waste in our home. So welcome, Monica. Let's get started.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Welcome everyone to my basement. I appreciate you all coming out on a Thursday evening. I know we were chatting before the program started that people tend to get pretty zoomed out these days. So I'm so appreciative of people spending their evening with me. So hopefully you'll get something out of it. I work at the Skokie Public Library. That's my day job. I'm the administrative assistant to the director there. And I am really just interested in green things and trying to live, a sustainable life. And so I started working on the green team at the library, and they asked me one day why didn't I put together a program for Skokie? And so I was like, sure, let's do that. I've never done this before. We'll see how it goes. And it ended up really great. And my boss started sharing it to all the other local director listservs and program listservs, and suddenly I was doing the library circuit. So that's been really fun. Although, so for a while I was traveling around to different libraries and going to be able to visit different places, which I loved. And then March happened. So sort of converted into the virtual zone. But I think I've been able to make it work. So I have a little slideshow presentation that I will go through with you all. And then I also will go back and forth between that and showing you some of the items that I use in my home to try and reduce waste. So that's how it's going to go. If you've got questions, feel free to, raise your hand, put them in the chat, wait till the end. We can, go however you all would like. So, so let me get here into my presentation for you.
And could I add that we're taping this? We're recording this. I forgot to mention. Okay.
So yeah, so if you, and then on along those lines, I also have a handout, an e-handout that I will send to Carol to send to all of you after the fact. I wait till afterwards so that if we've talked about something, some resource that I want to throw on there at the end, I can do that before you get it so that it's up to the minute of any kind of things you might have talked about. But it has a lot of the websites that I refer to, a lot of the products that I've talked about, like their websites, books that you can read on the topic, articles that I refer to. So don't feel like you need to scramble and write something down. It'll all be in the handout after the fact. So, all right. So zero waste is the idea of trying to reduce the amount of waste that we create in our homes and try to, the goal being zero, but I am not one of those people that has all of their garbage in a jar at the end of the year. That would be amazing, but that's not me. So, we do it, you do what you can, you take what steps you can to just sort of be more conscious of it and reduce as much as possible. So that's what zero waste means. So that's what we'll be talking about. So some facts, first of all, about trash and how we got to this point. So according to the EPA, their last study that they did was in 2017. And at that point, people in the US were generating about 4.5 pounds of waste per person per day for a total of about 269 million tons. Of that waste, about 52% is landfilled, which is this lovely photo that you see, just huge piles of trash. Food is the largest component of that waste at about 22%, and then plastics account for 19%. So plastics are a big thing that we'll talk about today. The good news is that despite this generation of waste increasing from about 88 million tons in 1960 to this 269 million tons in 2017, this generation rate of 4.5 pounds of waste per person per day is one of the lowest rates since 1990. So we're doing a little bit better. Recycling rates have increased. We used to only recycle just about 6% of the waste generated in 1960, and now we're at about 35%. And so obviously that means the disposal of waste to landfills has also decreased. So that's the good news. But now I'm going to show you a depressing video. All right, so pretty sad stuff. That was the seafloor of Taiwan. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, you know, the more bad news is 65% of our garbage isn't being recycled. And many times that we think our items are being recycled, it turns out they're actually being landfilled or burned or stockpiled. China, one of the reasons for this was China used to be one of the largest buyers of US plastic waste, but now only about half of the waste that the US once exported is still being accepted by foreign markets. So the equivalent of 19,000 shipping containers of plastic recycling per month is now stranded in the US, which is enough to fill 250 Olympic-sized swimming pools each month. So when China stopped taking our recycling, we needed to find other places to send it. So we were sending it to other third world countries, Malaysia being one of those. They recently sent back 150 shipping containers of plastic waste back to the rich countries, including the US, the UK, France, and Canada, saying we're not going to be the garbage dump for the rest of the world. In 2018, when this happened, this change where China stopped taking our waste, the plastic waste exported from US to the Malaysia had more than doubled compared with the previous year during the first 7 months of that year. And most plastics were actually never possible to recycle at all. As you saw in that video, only 9% of the plastic ever produced has been recycled. So it's just growing exponentially, this production of plastic, and recycling is clearly not the answer. Right now, there are more than 5 trillion pieces of microplastic in the oceans. Microplastics are when the plastics break down because of, you know, the wind erosion and the sun and the water, and they just become tinier and tinier. And it's so much in our water streams, in the air we breathe. It's we consume it. I mean, it's bad. So there's now more microplastic than fish in the ocean. So there's no force on earth that's going to be able to clean that up. The best we can do is try to just not produce more of it. So that's where we're coming from. And so we want to try and reduce the waste that we start out creating. So there's 5 concepts of zero waste. The 3 in the middle are probably familiar to you. They reduce, reuse, recycle. We all know those 3 R's. We have a couple more. We have refuse, knowing how to say no to whatever is not essential. We have reduce, which is trying to adopt minimalist tendencies, trying to have less stuff, basically. Reuse, giving things a second life versus just throwing it out when we're done with it. Recycling, prioritizing recyclable packaging if we do have to buy something that's packaged. And then rot is this 5th R, which has to do with composting. So we're going to go through each of these in detail. So what do we get out of it? As humans, we are naturally selfish and we want to, do something that we can all say that we want to do it because we love the planet and we want to be green. But really, like, we need to also have selfish reasons to do things. Otherwise we won't do them. So two of these things are better health and saving money. So getting healthier. A lot of these products that are, wrapped in plastics or come packaged in plastics have these harmful chemicals that you might have heard of that are called BPAs and phthalates. You might have seen like BPA free on on a bottle. Those things, BPAs and phthalates, are suspected causes of cancer, early puberty, infertility, hyperactivity, neurological conditions, obesity, diabetes. So all of this stuff, when we're eating out of some plastic container, and we're getting ingesting all of these chemicals that we don't even know about. So if we use products that are coming in less packaging, not so much plastic, we save ourselves our lives, basically. And then, another thing, we use natural beauty products, for example, things that aren't so packaged. You can, find lots of products, which I'll talk about later. And those things are obviously going to be better for you. They're less chemicals by nature too. If you go and buy real food at the grocery store, that's, fruits and vegetables and things that are not coming in a box, right? Then, you're getting more nutritious real food versus processed things. You are buying, drinking water from your faucet as opposed to buying bottles of water or, cans of soda, which are obviously not as good for you as water is anyway. So, if you let go of that convenience of the packaged stuff, you also, by association, choose healthier options for your body. And then you save money because the idea is to consume less. You buy only what you need to replace and not add more to your inventory. That processed food that you're buying is usually more expensive than preparing the same thing from scratch. The idea is to go for quality over quantity. So it might be more expensive at first to buy a quality item, but it pays off in the long run because it's going to last you. So your reusables versus single use items, you buy it one time as opposed to having to every time buy more napkins, buy more, plastic forks or whatever it is. And having less things just means more money in general because it's costly to store and maintain and repair all of the things that we have. So if we have less of those things, that means less that we have to pay to have them. So the first R I went over is refuse. So the idea is to just say no, as we were taught in the 80s. So you see, everybody has, if you look at this picture in the corner, everybody's got this kind of crap in their house, right? You go to some kind of like event and there's a bank handing out like little plastic calculators, or, some event where they're giving you water bottles, right? We all have these plastic water bottles from like everything that we've ever gone to for the last 10 years, right? So the idea is try to say no to this stuff. We don't need it. You're fine with one or two water bottles and we're good, right? Getting something that's better quality. Those things are never even insulated, right? So we have to kind of train ourselves, and it's hard because it's hard to say no to free things, right? People want to give you something, you're like, yeah, free stuff, right? But we have to sort of train ourselves to say no. And it's not about replacing plastics with greener alternatives. There was this whole thing with like, oh yeah, straws, the straws are bad, so we're going to use paper straws. Except that paper straws mean you have to cut down trees to make a straw. So, this is this balance. So it's not about replacing those plastics with greener alternatives. Some places try to say, oh, well, we use compostable bowls, at Chipotle or whatever. But if they're not actually composting, then those doesn't matter that it was in a compostable container. It ends up being just like trash, like anything else. And I'll talk about later why things, if you don't actually compost them, they're not going to break down in a landfill. So we don't want to try and replace a disposable with a disposable. There's a lot of these things, like hotel toiletries, right? Those little shampoo bottles and stuff. It's really tempting to take those things home, but it's tiny little things that, end up just multiplying in your linen closet. And so it's, the idea is try to bring your own stuff, get one container that you refill with from the big container of shampoo that you take when you travel and that kind of thing. The less of that stuff that we take, the less stuff they will have to produce and keep putting out there, and that keeps getting out into the world. It's tempting, right, to take all these things that are handed to us for free, party favors, for example. I have 2 kids, and I have tried to get away from the goodie bag, aspect of things, because like everybody's just got all these little plastic cheap, things in our house, right? And we don't need that stuff. And it's tempting, but it's helpful to remember that these things are usually very poor quality. They're produced at a low cost, which means that they probably have those harmful substances that I was talking about. They were manufactured at the cost of workers, and have a terrible environmental footprint. So, nobody needs that stuff. Another thing we can work on saying no to is at a restaurant, when you're going to go get takeout, and especially nowadays that that's all we do, right? We're just getting takeout. Making it a point to say, I don't need any of the plastic stuff. Everybody's eating in their house. Like, we don't need any of that stuff, so that they don't give you the little individual packets of ketchup. Everybody's got a bottle of ketchup in their house. Like, you don't need those. So trying to just be conscious and of saying no. And when we can go out and about again, if you're going to go grab a quick lunch, and you're at work for some place that you don't think you're going to have cutlery or whatever, just take a little set of stuff, keep it in your car, keep it in your purse. Do you have your own? So that's just one less thing that you can be having to throw out at the end of the day. Another thing that we can refuse is junk mail. So I provide in my handout a couple of really great websites. One is called catalogchoice.org. And if you register there, it will cut you off of tons of catalog mailing lists, that keeps you from having to call or email each individual company to get off of those. So that's really helpful. I do that at the library all the time for my coworkers that get these giant Uline catalogs and things, and we'll get 12 of them. And it makes me so mad, but I, try and get us off of those things so that they stop, printing more and creating more waste. Also, Valpak. I don't know if you've ever, those little blue envelopes of coupons for HVAC companies and Jiffy Lube, basically. You can also just go to the Valpak website and get off of those mailing lists too, which I thought was really great when I found that out. So I'm sorry, I just went to go check the chat, and now I'm looking at some other here. There we go. So that's another one, going right to their website and get out of a mailing list so that you stop getting those in the mail. Because for me, I know that I just get them right from my mailbox and dump them into the recycling bin, right? But that's not really the best way to handle that. You can also, there's another website in my handout where you can opt out of credit card and insurance offers, so you don't get mailings of them trying to get you to sign up for a credit card or whatever. So all of those are in my handout. So that's refuse. Reduce. So I will get to the ice cream cone in a moment. So the idea is to choose quality over quantity. So reduce the amount of things that we have by getting one really good quality thing as opposed to a kind of crappy thing that you're going to have to replace, frequently. And there's a really great website that's called buymeonce.com. And that provides ratings for all kinds of products. So you can kind of see, okay, these are the best products that have the best warranties. For example, the companies for North Face and Patagonia and things like that, where the coats and stuff are really expensive, right? But you're going to have that for the rest of your life. And they stand behind their products to the point where, I had a broken zipper. I don't know how old this coat was. I went to the store, they sent it back to North Face, they repaired it and sent it back to me, no charge. So, that kind of stuff is what we need to be looking at. There's avoiding unnecessary purchases, right? So what I tried to do before the pandemic was to try to gift experiences versus things. If I was going to go to a kid's birthday party, I gave my friend of mine some, tickets for Legoland or whatever that place is in Schaumburg, for her kids, as opposed to more Legos, because everybody's got millions of Legos, or practice, waiting for stuff. If it's so hard now that everything is so automatic, right? We can go on a website and in 5 minutes, we've ordered something that sometimes will be in our house in an hour, right? So it's really easy to just do that click, and then suddenly we have more stuff that we didn't really need. So practice waiting. Give yourself a week. You really want to buy that thing, sit on it for a week. If a week later you still find that you really need it, okay, go ahead and purchase it, but try to even do that in a more sustainable manner. Try to go can you get it secondhand? Can you borrow it? Can you go to a Goodwill? Can you buy it from a local store, right? Try to just make those kinds of choices to make it better. I did that for, I needed like a measuring cup, like the most random thing. And I was like, oh, I could just go to Target and buy a new one. Or I ended up going to the Goodwill, finding a perfectly great Pyrex brand, 49 cents, for a measuring cup. It was a win-win situation. So also, the idea of collaborative consumption, which means borrowing and sharing, libraries, bartering. Don't forget that there's a lot of things that we need for a short time, but we don't necessarily need to own. So don't feel afraid to borrow, to ask for things. Social media is great for that. We wanted to go camping, and I had never been camping before, so I wasn't really looking forward to investing in sleeping bags and tents and all like the accoutrements that you need to go camping. So I, posted on the, hey, any of my friends have a tent and stuff we can borrow. Sure enough, tons of offers of people like, sure, you can borrow this, you can borrow that. We were able to get all the stuff together for free, use it, go camping. And then give it back at the end of the day. And I'm happy to do that with the things that I have that, other friends might not. So, use the community that you have. You don't necessarily have to buy every single thing that you need. Some libraries even have libraries of things, which is pretty cool. You can, borrow like kitchen equipment and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff out there if you do a little research. And then rethink the things that you do have. Consider stuff that you have on hand for a different purpose rather than buying a new thing. If there's something that you specifically need, maybe you don't need that specific thing. Maybe there's something else in your house that you can reuse for that whatever that purpose is. I always think about when I went to Cuba when I studied abroad in college, and the cars, everyone's seen these pictures of Cuba with all these old cars from the 50s, right? And you're like, how are these cars still running? Well, they're not running on the original parts from the 50s, right? They've been able to use their ingenuity and the fact that they were cut off from all these countries because of this trade embargo to make their own parts or repair the things they had or come up with other ways to fix the cars so that they would still run, as opposed to being like, oh, this doesn't work anymore and tossing it to the side, right? So we need to kind of embrace a little bit of ingenuity and things and kind of get away from this throwaway culture of like, oh, this is broken, let's throw it away, and find other ways to use those things. And then if you're going out for ice cream, ask for a cone instead of a cup, right? So that way you eat the whole thing and there's no waste. You can tell your doctor that I said you had to have the cone. All right, so reuse. So this is the one where I'm going to show you a bunch of things. So this is all about choosing reusables over disposables. So I have many, many items that I use in my life. The first being, everybody's got these, right? These reusable grocery bags. Here's my shameless plug for Skokie Public Library. But everybody's got these bags, right? This is, a big thing. It's hard right now. And a lot of these things that I will talk about they're hard with the pandemic. There are stores that are not letting you bring bags in, for example. There's ways around it. If you are still going into a store, just put all your stuff in the cart and then take your cart out to the car and bag it when you get in the car, right? Leave your bags in the trunk. And that way you don't have to take paper or plastic bags. When you're doing curbside and things like that, it's hard, right? They have it bagged and they give it to you. Where I live, the store luckily gives us paper bags because there's they put one of those plastic bag taxes. And so I think this is cheaper and better for the stores to use paper. So that's great. Those are compostable, they're recyclable. I actually have gotten so many because I have, family. So we go grocery shopping pretty much every week. And I've been collecting those bags and taking them to the local food pantry where they can use them for people. So, that's a better option than collecting all of the plastic. So definitely cloth grocery bags. If you haven't done this already, where have you been? This is like the easiest, simplest thing. But another sort of upgrade from that is there are these cloth produce bags that I've gotten. So instead of using those little junky bags at the grocery store, these are super light, they're washable, they're see-through, so it's totally easy for the cashier to find the little tickets to or stickers to scan your items. I really like these. That, again, on my handout there's websites so you can look up to where you can get things like this. Actually now they even sell them at my grocery store. So but this was a very cool thing when I started discovering these things. Washable sponges, that's another thing that I've made the change over. So, we all have sponges that just get really stinky and gross, then we toss them out and we get a new one, right? And then each of those sponges is wrapped in its own individual cellophane plastic, and it's a nightmare. So I found this company called ET, it's ETEE, and that's on my handout too. These sponges are totally compostable. They have a natural loofah scrubby side and then a cellulose like absorbent side. And these are really nice. That website has millions of things on them, on it, but like all kinds of green products. But this is the first one that I've tried from them, and I like it so far. I just got myself a little pack of 6 because I thought, okay, eventually they're gonna disintegrate and break down and that kind of thing. It just happens. But at least then I can just put it in the compost as opposed to throwing it in the garbage and more landfill. And then I have these ones also, which are these I don't like as much because they're still like some kind of plastic, but they are like washable and reusable, and they'll last you a lot longer than one of the disposable sponges. So I like it for that. These are made in Poland and they're packaged in the US using recycled paper and packed by people with disabilities. So it's kind of, a nicer option in that sense than just your whatever Scott brand or whatever brand sponges are these days. So these are some great options. Just, these are sponges that you can throw them in your washing machine and then reuse them again. I also have this kind, which this is from a company called Who Gives a Crap, which I will talk to you about a little bit later. I use their paper towel or their toilet paper, which is amazing. But these are called like Swedish dishcloths or something, but also really cool. This one's dry, so that's why it's all like hard feeling, but they're super, super absorbent. And again, you throw these in the washing machine, reuse them. I really like them. And they're just good for cleaning and washing in general. So reusable sponges, good option. One of the first things that I ever started doing when I started thinking about doing green things was making the switch to reusable napkins. This, like a friend of mine was doing this at her house, and she was kind of like a hippie chick, lived in Minneapolis, and I was like, I never, like, that did not occur to me, because you think, oh, cloth napkins are so fancy. Well, they don't have to be. So these are really great. My friend made these. She just took some cloth and sort of like hemmed it, and there we go. We got this cute little napkin. I just throw them in the wash. I don't iron them. You can, if you've got that kind of time on your hands. I don't, but they're great. And if you're just with your family, you can use them a couple times before you feel like you have to wash them. I have like a whole set of them, and I just keep them in a little basket by the table, and we're good to go. So this is a really great. I mean, if you're still using paper napkins, this is a very, very easy option, and one of, like, I don't know, it's just like, to me, a very simple switch to make. You could even do cloth handkerchiefs if you want. Kind of gross, but people used to do that, so they exist, is my point. You don't have to do it. That's an option. Obviously, reusable water bottles and coffee cups. Again, the pandemic has made it hard to use those kinds of things, because these days, they don't want you bringing in your own cups to places. But before, you could even get discounts. Like at Starbucks, they give you 10 cents off if you bring in your own mug. And I sort of would treat it as a little reward for myself. So I would keep a reusable coffee cup in my car. And if I decided I wanted to stop at a Starbucks or a coffee shop, if I didn't have my reusable cup, like, so sad for me, I wasn't going to stop, right? So that was kind of my good reminder to myself to keep the cup in there, and if I wanted a little treat. So that's always a good thing. One, we can use our own cups again. Bringing your own containers for food takeout or leftovers. Again, like when we can go to restaurants again, don't feel like embarrassed about having like some Tupperware in your car. And if you've got leftovers, run out and grab it. Don't, worry about getting their, using their styrofoam or their black plastic containers. That's another way that we can cut down on that kind of stuff. And there's no shame in putting it in your own stuff. Plus, it always lasts longer. I feel like the styrofoam, that stuff gets all like dry and gross, and then you throw it away anyway, right? So that's another idea. Some people I know have even gone to the grocery store and like at the deli counter used their own containers. Again, pre-pandemic, but that's an option. Or like, if you go to a store that has bulk grain and things like that, you can take your own containers to fill. So one day we will get back to that. Tons of reusable personal beauty items. So These I got from Etsy, ETSY. It's like a little, you know, a lot of people know about Etsy, but it's a, you know, site where people who have make their own little crafts and things can sell what they've made. So these are little makeup sponges that are made from like a little flannel, and they're very cute and different, you know, shapes. And it's just, you know, like to clean your makeup or get your mascara off, and then you just throw them in the wash and reuse them, as opposed to using like, you know, those cotton rounds that you just throw away. So these are really great. I found this very cool company called The Last Swab. They are, it was a Kickstarter, which is one of those things where there's a company that has an idea that they want to make something, but they don't necessarily have the capital. So you can like pledge money towards the whatever it is they're making, and in exchange, they will send you that product. If they get enough money together and they make the thing. So this company, The Last Swab, made what they are saying is the last Q-tip that you will ever need. It's silicone, so you just can use it and then wash it with soap and water. Yeah, that website that she put in there is great, because I think they have like other items now, not just Q-tips, but this is the one that introduced me to them. So it's really cool. You can, you know, again, use it for makeup remover. You can use it in your ears. I know you're not supposed to stick things in your ears, but everybody does it. So these you can use for that, and then just wash them with soap and water. And they come in different colors. I feel like I have another. Oh yeah. So everyone in your family can have their own. So don't worry about sticking somebody else's swab in your ear, because they're all different colors. So, and there's just this cute little case that you can just, it's hard to see here, but you can just like snap it right back in there and then close it up. I thought it was a very smart, ingenious idea. They have a really good marketing tool with like this little seahorse that's like wrapped around a little Q-tip, and it's really sad. So lots of great beauty things that you can use that are reusable. I think those are that for those. Oh, and then I have these bags, silicone bags that I use instead of Ziplocs. So these are freezer safe. You have to wash them by hand. You can't put them in the dishwasher, but they function just as a Ziploc. They have different sizes. They're like a lot sturdier than a Ziploc bag. So these are really great instead of using bunches and bunches and bunches of sandwich bags and things like that. And you can find these all over the place. There's a really expensive brand of them. These are not them, but I put a link to one of them on my handout. And if you're, you know, some people sometimes come to me and say, well, what about all that water that you're using to wash all of those items that you have that are reusable? Like, isn't that bad? Aren't you using all this water? Well, it takes 8 gallons of water to make 1 paper plate. All right. And an energy efficient dishwasher uses 3 to 5 gallons of water for an entire load of dishes. So don't worry about the water is my point, right? So that it's a non-issue when you think about, for 1 paper plate, that's 8 gallons of water. That's pretty terrible. So, and then the other thing that you could do is to return things. So things like hangers from the dry cleaners. If you're a person who dry cleans your clothes, that's not me, but some people do. You can take those hangers back so that they can reuse them. If you go to the farmer's market in the summer and you get some berries in a little container or some eggs or things, they're always happy to take those back and reuse them. So think about that. The other reusable thing, and I'll go back to my screen so you can see this again. To stare at me. The other reusable thing I like to use is clothes. I have kids, and I always share hand-me-downs with friends and get hand-me-downs from other people. You know, they never, kids grow so fast that they wear things so little. Things have so much life in them that I don't think I've had to buy clothes for my kids in years, because I just get stuff from other coworkers and friends, and I share my things along too. And grownups can do it too. It's not just for kids. I once went to a clothing swap with some friends where we all, you know, everybody has that stuff in their closet. They're like, one day I'm going to fit into that. It's not going to happen, friends. So instead of having that sit there and make you feel bad, you can take it to a little clothing swap with your friends. You can shop amongst your friends' clothes and pick some stuff that's new to you, but not to them, and they can get new stuff for them. And that's a way to avoid having to buy more stuff, but still get something nice and new for yourself. So that's reuse. So we get to recycle, and you know, there's so many caveats with recycling. I mean, as we saw in the earlier slides, not everything is getting recycled, right? We're bad at recycling. a lot of times we do what's called wish cycling, where we toss something in the recycling bin and we're like, yeah, I recycled. Well, if you toss something that's not recyclable in there, then it's not recycling. It's going to get thrown away. Or you didn't rinse it because you're like, just too lazy. Well, that's going to get thrown away. Or you put it in a plastic garbage bag. I know for us in Skokie, your recyclables have to be loose in the bin. If you put it in a plastic bag, they just consider it garbage and they throw it away. Or you threw like a little plastic cap like by itself. Well, those things just go through the little holes of the conveyor belt and they don't get recycled. So we're bad at it. So recycling is definitely not the way to go. We want to try and do all these other steps before we even get to the recycling step. But obviously there are things that come in plastic and things like that that we can't avoid. So you need to try and make the best choices for the things that you're buying and that they're packaged in the most responsible ways. But if you do have things, there are some places that you can go to recycle like special items. So plastic bags, I think most people know this, but plastic bags, cellophane-like material, the stuff that, comes, that wraps around your paper towels or things like that, those can be taken to stores like Target and Jewel and Meijer and these big grocery stores, Home Depot. And what happens, there's a company called Trex that makes plastic decking. So like for your deck in your backyard, they make that composite, like really expensive, but really cool decking out of those plastic bags. So that company has agreements with those stores and they pick up all your plastic bags and they melt it down into that kind of decking. So that's one place you can take plastic bags. Contact lenses, sometimes I wear them, and there's a company, Bausch and Lomb, that's a big contact lens company, and they now have a recycling program for not just the little blister packs with the foil on them that you peel to, get your contacts out, but the lenses themselves as well. So, and you don't have to separate them out. You can put the lenses, the little blister packs, everything together. You can take them either to your optometrist. A lot of times they'll have a box in the office. They collect them and mail them into Bausch and Lomb, or you can download a free label. And if you just collect enough, like I'll collect mine, I'll collect them from coworkers. I'll get like a big box together and then ship it all at one time to get recycled. So that's pretty cool because those talk about microplastics. I mean, those tiny little lenses. And if you use dailies, like I do, that's 700 something lenses a year that you're creating. So it's cool to have an option for that. And then there's a website called TerraCycle where they have lots of specific recycling programs that are really great. So they can, for example, baby food pouches or snack wrappers or razors. They have like very specific programs. They even have one for Swiffer pads, which is pretty cool. I still think, nowadays they have like a reusable Swiffer pad that you can attach to your Swiffer and wash it. But if you're still using the regular Swiffers, you can just dry them out and send them back for recycling, which is pretty awesome. So it's really great that companies are making an effort to say like, okay, I know that the product that I produce is disposable by nature, but let's see if there's a way that we can dispose of it, responsibly. So, so that's another great site. And some of those programs are free. Some of them you have to pay for. So just take a look at the website. I was doing a little bit of research about Lake Bluff because I obviously don't live there to see what kind of options you all have for recycling. And I thought was really interesting is right now is if you are experiencing COVID symptoms, you're supposed to not recycle. You're supposed to put all your recycling and throw it away in the garbage. So that I thought was pretty interesting, especially given like what that we've learned now about like substances or surfaces and things like that. But something to keep in mind and consider. Groot will also pick up e-waste, which I thought was really cool. Lots of times when I've seen for e-waste, you have to like find a recycling event to take it to. But if you call Groot ahead of time, let them know what you've got, like they can pick it up with your regular pickup. So that's pretty cool. They also have a thing for appliances too, a program for that. So, and then I noticed that there's a group called Green Minds, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and they seem to have a lot of really great ideas and resources to check out. So you guys have some good options where you're at for specialty kind of recycling and waste disposal. So check those out. I don't know if you all are in Lake County, but Swalco, which is also like the whatever sort of big recycling organization out there, has like clothing and textile collections and shoe reuse programs and pharmaceuticals and chemical waste and things like that. So there's a lot of great options. All right. Then we get to, I love how I've got people sharing these links in here. Thank you very much to my assistants at Lake Bluff Library for helping boost up. Yes, there's a free app, Green Mind, Lake Forest Lake Bluff, where you can search hundreds of items whether they can be recycled or upcycled. Yes, thank you very much. I was just checking it out before the presentation today, and I thought, wow, this is a really great resource that you guys all have. So that's awesome. So we get to rot composting. So this is a really great thing. And this is, for me, one of the things that has really helped us to cut down on the waste in my house. You all have this cool composting program as part of your garbage, it looks like, although it doesn't take everything, right? It's like certain things only, but there are products that you can't put in with I think it goes with your yard waste from what I was reading. So what I use for my composting, because also like if you're trying to do backyard composting, you're limited to what you can put in there, and you have to sort of balance like the greens and the browns and the nitrogen and all this stuff, and you got to mix it, and this and that, and you have to have a certain kind of container. So it takes a little bit more effort. I have been using this company called Collective Resource, and they are a commercial composting company. And they do service Lake Bluff. I checked it out. We have, in Skokie, we have a subsidized program. So the village pays for part of it. And so it ends up actually being super reasonable. It's a women-owned company and out of Evanston. I think I pay $78 a quarter, and they come weekly, and they give me a big orange Home Depot bucket that I just have outside my door, and I can put all of my food scraps in there. And it's anything that was once alive. So this is like pretty amazing, because it's bones, it's dryer lint, it's paper, it's almost anything that you can think of. Like, that is the thing. If it was once alive, you can compost it, which you're limited for the program that you have in Lake Bluff. It's not all of those things. So, it's really cut down on the amount of waste that I have coming out. If I'm making salads or cutting up vegetables or whatever, it just feels so good to be able to put that all in there and know that it's going to eventually turn into dirt. And even last year, they that company sent out an email to all of their users and said, hey, we have a ton of dirt from all of the composting that you all have done. Come and get it. Just bring buckets, bring whatever your own kind of containers, and take as much as you want. And so I did. I went with a whole bunch of buckets with my dad, and we filled a whole bunch of buckets, and I was able to come and use the dirt in my garden for the summer. So so that was really awesome, because it's like the best, they call it liquid gold, right? Or whatever. I guess it's not liquid, but you know what I mean. It's really great stuff. So and people think, well, like what I was talking about before, if you just have something that's like a compostable bowl or whatever it is, and you throw it away, isn't it going to break down? Like you learned in school, they would show you that chart of like, oh, paper takes 1 year to break down, and plastic, it takes 100 years, and right. Well, yes, if there are certain conditions in place. So you need oxygen, you need microorganisms, you need dirt. And the problem is that landfills are so overcrowded that you don't have those things, those elements. Things are so packed in that there's no oxygen, there's no light getting in there, there's no microorganisms. So they did this study by the University of Arizona where they uncovered 50-year-old newspapers that were still readable, 25-year-old hot dogs, corn cobs, and grapes. Okay, so that's pretty gross. Like, that stuff is sitting there forever, and it's not going to break down. So you need to, if you just buy something that's compostable, if you don't compost it, it's not going to do what you're thinking it's going to do. So like for a while I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a compostable garbage bag. So like the garbage that I do have, I'm going to throw away, but then it'll, break down. And I was like, this is a waste of money, because it's just going to sit there like everything else. Right. So something to consider why composting is a great option. So those are our R's. And then there's other things. So there are some things that you can't buy reusable, like toilet paper. Don't reuse your toilet paper. Okay, it's not a good idea. But there are great options that are tree-free, at least. So one of the big things now is bamboo, hence my graphic here. Bamboo is a very sustainable paper-like resource that is sort of all the rage right now. So I have some options of things to show you that are tree-free or 100% recycled. So let me show you. I have this, which is a bamboo paper towel. It It is like indestructible. Okay. These things they're more like a cloth. I mean, it's pretty amazing to me that this is made out of like a plant fiber, but it is, and it comes on a roll just like your paper towels do. And you know, it's very absorbent. You can use it to wipe up spills, whatever it is you do with a paper towel, and then you throw it in the wash. And I think the package says you can use them like 1,000 times or something. So these are pretty cool. A good option to replace paper towels in your life. If you do use paper towels, there's some stuff that you're just like, I need to just wipe this up and this needs to go away. You know, you can compost them if you're composting. So that's kind of a cool other option, but this is great, tree-free thing. I mentioned that company Who Gives a Crap. So this is their paper towel, which they have two versions. They have a bamboo one and they have a 100% recycled one. I use the 100% recycled. I think it's fine. It's a little bit cheaper than the bamboo one. They send you 48 rolls of it, and it comes to your door, each one individually wrapped in paper, no plastic. It's all in a cardboard box, which my kids love toilet paper delivery day, let me tell you, because they all come in these really cool, like individually wrapped colored things. They build like forts and towers and all kinds of stuff. It is a great day on toilet paper day. Also, it's 100% recycled, no inks or dyes or scents. It's 3-ply, and 50% of their profits get donated to build toilets around the world. So you can imagine when we had this toilet paper shortage, I mean, they just boomed and donated like millions and millions of dollars. So it's kind of cool. It's just good on a lot of levels, and I don't have to worry about it. You can subscribe and they'll send it to you periodically, and they'll send you a reminder and say, hey, like it's almost time for your toilet paper to come, and you can check your stock and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to skip this month because I still have a ton. No big deal, no charge. Like you just wait and you get more the next month. And when the toilet paper shortage was happening, they were loyal to their customers who were already signed up and subscribed. So you still got your toilet paper even when other people were trying to get it and couldn't. So I love this company. I would say quality wise, like it's not going to be your Charmin, but it's like not going to be the cheap stuff you have at work. Okay. It's like an in between quality wise. I like it. I think it works great. So that's my plug. They should hire me. There's plastic free detergents. So here's another thing that I use. This company is called Drops, DROPPS. This is how it comes. Okay. It comes in this little cardboard box. Like here's the mailing label. Like it's just in this box. This comes to me in the mail. And there are these little pods that you just toss right into your washing machine. It looks like they're plastic, but they're not. They're just like some kind of plant thing, and it dissolves. And they have also fabric softener pods. Really easy. I really like this, you know, no plastic involved. Same thing where it's like a subscription kind of thing. They just remind you when your thing is running out. You can see, do you still have some? Do you need some more? And there you go. You just get them. And they have scent-free, you know, sensitive skin. I'm a runner. My running clothes get really gross and stinky, and I use their stuff, and it completely takes the odor away. Like they're very good quality. They also have dishwasher detergent. Same thing, little pods. I use their dishwasher detergent. And there's other options. There's another company called, I think, like True Earth, that has like little sheets. They're like little, I don't know, remind me kind of like those Listerine tabs that they used to have, but you just toss that in. Same thing, you know, no plastic involved. So I really like that. A lot of great options. Other bamboo things, there's bamboo toothbrushes, which the heads of the toothbrush are still like a nylon. But when you're done with the toothbrush, when it gets all worn down, you just snap the head off, and then the stick itself you can compost. So that's kind of cool. Plastic free toothpaste. That's cool. This is a company called Bite. They look like little tabs. These are the charcoal ones, but they have mint ones too. These kind of remind me of like when you were in school and they would bring like the Mr. Friendly or whatever the tooth guy was, and they would teach you, and they'd give those little red tabs, and you'd chew on them and like see like all the plaque in your mouth, right? Like that, but not as gross. These are like minty flavored, and you basically put one in your mouth, sort of get your toothbrush wet, chew a little bit, and just brush, and it just foams up just like toothpaste does. But you're not a little cool, like them. It's kind of fun. So these things I think are like they're all natural, no sulfates, cruelty free, all that jazz. So that's what I was talking about, like less chemicals when you use these kinds of products as well. And then bar soaps, bar shampoo. This is really cool. This is just wrapped in paper. I actually don't use this brand. My mom let me this one as a sample, but I go to a store called Lush and they have shampoo bars and you get a little tin and that way you're not using the shampoo bottle. They last super long time. They have conditioner ones. That other ET site that I was telling you about, they have some versions. They're really, it's a very cool option to just cut down on the plastic in that sense. And really, they smell really good and they're like cruelty free and all chemical free and natural and all of that stuff. So I really like that option. And bar soap. I mean, all of us are so obsessed with washing our hands these days. People are afraid to use bars of soap, but so we get all these plastic bottles. I mean, you think about the amounts of bottles of like hand sanitizer and things that are happening right now. Bar soap is just as great and has way less waste than that plastic stuff. So another thing that I don't use, but people have recommended is beeswax wrap as opposed to plastic wrap or foil. Foil, by the way, like you would have to wash it and you can recycle it because otherwise it never, ever, ever biodegrades or goes away. So something to consider. But plastic wrap obviously is horrible. So this beeswax stuff, some people swear by it. I don't use it. I would rather use containers and things like that, but it is another option. Oh, and then another thing that I use that's these little dryer balls. These are to go like a fabric softener in your dryer. You can even put like essential oils on there if you want to smell, but it's you can just throw them in there as opposed to using dryer sheets, which again, you know, it's just more waste that you're throwing away. So I like these. That's a fuzz. I don't know what that is. Somebody asked me once if there's vegan versions of these because I guess they're wool, and so that's not vegan. I'm sure there are. I don't have them, but you can look it up. So these are cool. And just throw these in. You know, anytime you can make your clothes softer, that's a win. So so those are those ideas of other reusable things. I'll go back to my presentation here. So, and I would love to hear some more ideas from all of you as well, of anything that I might not have mentioned that you all use. So all of these things, right, where do we start, right? There's so much in here, right? Okay, do I, you know, stop recycling things? Do I, you know, start buying only fruits and vegetables? Where do I start, right? So here's some great options. One of the things you can do is to conduct a waste audit. So you want to see what's going to have the most impact in a shortest amount of time. So this person did a trash audit where they sort of tallied up all the different things they threw out in over a certain period of time. And they're like, wow, you know, I'm really using a lot of paper towels. Like if I just made a switch to a bamboo paper towel, reusable paper towel, look at all that I would save. Or, you know, food scraps, man, I really should start composting. Look at all this stuff that I'm throwing away. So this is kind of a cool way to kind of see what could be one of the first changes that I should make, what's going to have the biggest impact. There's also a website for the 31-day zero waste challenge. You can, you know, she put up like little, I really like her page. She has a lot of great ideas. And this, she put like a different YouTube video up for each day of like some other thing that some other change you can make in your life to reduce your waste. You can calculate your ecological footprint. It's a little bit just depressing because it kind of tells you, you know, like how many Earth's worth of stuff you're using. But, you know, it's a place to start. And then 100 Steps to a Plastic-Free Life is another site where I have gotten a lot of ideas of things that I can make changes to not use plastic. And I was just thinking, Jillian put in another website in here in the chat, some natural kitchen cleaning products and laundry detergent. That's great. You know, we have to also sometimes be careful about something called greenwashing, where the companies will say like, yeah, we're using this green stuff, or look, it's less plastic in our bottle or whatever it is. A lot of times it's just sort of one of those things that's going to make you feel better about yourself, but it's not really doing what you want it to. So like, I think like those Mrs. Meyer's brand and the Method brand and Target and things like that, you know, you have to sort of do a little bit more digging instead of just always believing what's on the containers. So that's great. they use tin and glass, this company that Jillian's talking about. That's exactly the point. Look at that kind of stuff too. Make sure you don't always just believe what is on the label. And I just feel like cleaning products, they do a lot of that. So that's something to look out for. You can always make your own, cleaning products too. If you, again, have time for that, go for it. There's a lot, you can make your own toothpaste, you can make your own detergent. That's, always an option. So, the point of all this is we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. So everybody, doing their part as much as they can. And we're not all going to be the people that has all our garbage in a jar, but if we can just be more conscious about the choices that we're making and making little changes here and there, it all adds up. And that's, all to say too, is it's not only on us, right? We still need to put the pressure onto these companies to stop producing their stuff in plastic. And, we're starting to see a little bit more of a wave of that. It's hard because there's been a lot of money plugged into oil companies that make these plastics and things like that. And so it's cheaper for them to make more plastic than it is for them to recycle the plastic that they've made. Or a lot of times they have made things in plastic that's not recyclable anyway. So there really has to be a big shift. But there's an article that I included in my handout that I thought was really interesting, that Greenpeace organized a cruise with a whole bunch of major companies like Dow and Procter and Gamble and Coca-Cola. And they took them out into the ocean to where there's this huge ring of garbage floating around in the ocean. And they made these big CEOs go out and look at this and snorkel in it and be like, look, this is you, these are your bottles. This is the stuff that you have created. Now you need to come up with a solution to this and a way to stop doing this, creating all of this waste. And they did. I mean, they sat down in breakout sessions on this cruise, all sequestered in there, and talked about ways that they could, brainstorm ways to kind of make changes to how they're packaging things. So it is doable. So just don't feel like it's only on you. I mean, obviously, just like we all start using reusable produce bags is not going to save the world, but showing companies with our money that this is what we want to pay for, and we don't want to pay for this other plastic crap, is going to help out. And then don't beat yourself up about it. I mean, we can only do what we can do. So there's this little fox crying in the Wasteaholics Anonymous meeting because she bought a banana and she had a sticker on it, right? I mean, we don't go crazy, but try and just see what kind of little changes you can make to start reducing the waste that you're creating. So that's my presentation. Hopefully you all learned something new that you didn't know before, and maybe there's some things that I didn't mention. I would love to either hear any questions or comments from anyone. Feel free to, you want to turn on your camera, you can do that. If you want to just raise your hand or put something in the chat, go for it. I will, oh, great. So I'm sharing some great other links in there. This has been super helpful, all the links in the chat. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to stop my sharing so I can see whoever has a question or comment.
Everyone, if you unmute yourself, you could ask a question or make a comment.
I just started composting about 2 months ago, and I do the drop off at Swelco, and it's super easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's open during weekdays, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and if you're worried about stinky things, like if you're like, oh, what am I going to do with all these scraps? You can put them in your freezer, and in the meantime, just get a bag or a container going with food scraps in your freezer until you're ready to take it if you're doing a drop off. So that's another option. And there's also countertop little containers that you can do too that are keep the smell away. So
is there a special container you need to take it to Squawco?
No, I just use a 6-gallon, what is it called? The Gamma Seal bucket. So it doesn't release any smell until you open it.
And where did you get that?
I just got it on Amazon, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. All right.
I would not normally support Amazon, but it was the easiest solution in this time of age.
yes.
And then I got compost bags. And then the way I keep the smell down is either freezing, but also if you have cardboard, like egg cartons and stuff, ripping that up and putting that at the bottom can help absorb liquid and reduce smell. And then I just wash it out with soap after I'm done.
Yeah. I do use little compostable bags in my countertop composter, like our food scrap, whatever collector. because that's easier. And I know those are getting composted and that, because I just got sick of washing that thing out all the time. So
It's, yeah, much easier. That's what I use as well.
Mhm. Any other questions or comments? Did
Yeah,
anyone?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Monica, thank you for an excellent presentation.
Yeah, thanks.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
When I order takeout food, I always request no plastic cutlery, no napkins, no soy sauce packets, no ketchup, none of that.
And they
And
always
I
throw
have
it in.
9 times out of 10, it's in there.
I know, I know. I feel like maybe, I don't know, this is just a hypothesis that I have not yet tested, but I feel like sometimes on the online order, like it's more anonymous, and maybe like if you call and specifically say like don't put this in there, maybe that would help. I don't know, but yeah, it's a problem. I always say no, I mark the no stuff and they still throw it in there. So I don't know. Like I feel like you're like,
Yeah.
after months and months of this pandemic, where like we're clearly eating food at home, we clearly own our own cutlery. I don't know. It's one of
Yeah.
those things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in on that, and Lisa, who's also on the call, can as well. Lisa was very instrumental in Green Minds, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, writing a letter to the Chamber of Commerce in Lake Forest. There she is, Lisa, asking, would you consider speaking to all of the different places that sell food, especially during COVID, to ask people, do you want to opt out?
Mhm.
And we're still waiting to hear, but I encourage people in Lake Bluff to do the same thing. Most carryout is going home,
Mhm.
and it's really discouraging. And Lisa, do you want to chime in here?
Lisa,
Oh, you're on
muted.
mute, Lisa.
Unmute, Lisa.
All right, sorry about that. Not to take too much time from this, but yes, I'm also with Green Minds, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and we've talked with the chamber, the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff Chamber of Commerce, and they are supportive of trying to reduce plastic and also save the businesses money. You know, if they're not putting in those condiment packets and they're not putting in the single-use utensils, it saves the money too.
Right.
So it's a win-win, and yes, so it would help if customers indicate it's what they want, because that'll motivate businesses to do it more. But this is a change, hopefully, that's coming to our community.
That's a great idea. And I think, I think that that's where the phone calls or directly ordering to the businesses might make more of a difference, because they're hearing it as a voice. And a lot of times too, if you're going through Grubhub or these third-party things like that, that's already taking the money away from the business. So they appreciate direct calls and orders anyway. So that's another way to do it. But that's a great idea, going to the Chamber of Commerce. I wouldn't have thought of doing that. So
Lisa, it's Carol. If I could ask you a question. You used to be collecting the toothpaste and dental floss, all those at the library, but because people can't come in the library, are you doing that somewhere else now?
We've put a pause on that for
Okay.
COVID, just because not wanting to touch things that other people have touched, and
Okay. Okay.
so that's paused at this program, and we're using TerraCycle for that. So that'll resume post-COVID.
Okay.
The thing with TerraCycle is you need to apply to become a recycler for them, and then you work with them to send them in specified packages, and they make sure that they don't get trash, which is often the case with recycling. We have to go through all those items before we send them. So TerraCycle is a wonderful organization, but it needs local organizations like Green Minds, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff to be the repository for the items they're collecting. We will also be doing razors, single-use razors. If you go to any fitness center, the amount of single-use razors that people go through, it just makes you want to cry. So that's another thing we are about ready to start before COVID. And as Lisa said, we'll get back to both of those. And thank you to Lake Bluff Library for being a place so people could take things. You were so great to help us. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I know I used it and took it to book club and showed everybody they could use it. I wasn't aware of it before. I didn't know about it. So I've learned so much tonight, Monica.
Oh, good.
Monica, you did a
good.
great job.
Oh,
Oh, well,
I
thanks.
have to say it's overwhelming. By the way, I would turn on my video, but I can't figure out how to do it. This is Nan talking. I'm very frustrated. I think it's amazing that we found each other tonight, or I found you, but it seems like we're fighting a tidal wave, and we are doing individually a lot of work, but the political awareness, or even the community, how do we get this to become more, our community become more mindful? I actually was disgusted with myself over Christmas because I couldn't help but order some things off Amazon, and the amount of cardboard boxes
Oh.
made me weep. And the amount of the big cardboard boxes for two things. But I just couldn't wrap my head around it, but yet I felt trapped, so that's my confession. I hope I'll do some Hail Marys and feel better. But I don't feel better. But I guess that I'm retired now, and I feel like this is one of those things that I could really get behind as a sort of a true purposeful activity and commitment, because it is such a huge problem. And having small groups, I think they always say, what is it, never underestimate a group of committed people to make world changes. And I just don't know where to go in terms of getting involved with action. Such like Green Minds is a good place. It's more than just a website, right? You guys actually post-COVID meet, or there's
We meet during COVID virtually, and Mike, I don't mean to steal your thunder,
No,
but we're right in there
please.
with you because
Please,
we're
please.
local.
Yeah.
We are a local group for residents, people who work and people who study in Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. We are specifically tailored to those two communities. And we're a group of volunteers. We are a 501c3. We have a website, green-minds.org, with all kinds of information. Anyone is welcome to join us at our monthly meetings, the third Friday of every month at 9. They're virtual right now. They'll be back in session when we all can safely do so. And we have lots of initiatives. We do plastic pickups on beaches, for example. And as Lisa said, we are doing recycling at the beach with TerraCycle. We're working right now on a bamboo straw, reusable straw initiative to try and help people stop using straws as a gateway. We have a bring your own bag campaign. So yeah, join us. We really need energy, right, Lisa, and people. And it's just a great group. I've really loved meeting these people and found that they care like we do. It is a really big issue. We really need to do local action.
And not to spend too much time on Green Minds, but even if you can't attend the monthly meetings, we put out a newsletter, so you can still get on the list to get tips.
Yeah, bingo.
I'm actually wanting to be really engaged with it. So it isn't just I'll read a newsletter. I really would like to be part of people with hands-on and figure out how to, make an impact.
Good for you.
That's important to me, I guess. I have a grandson, and I'm determined not to leave him with the world as we've created it, or what's it that, leave it a little bit better for him, if nothing else, and all the all the children.
Yeah, and I feel like, with yesterday and having now a new administration in place, like there are now, it doesn't feel as hopeless as it did before. Like I feel like that federally there are things that are happening and changes. We're back in the Paris Accord, all these things that feel like make it like it's not just our little town's priority, but it's it's a bigger thing now. So all of that will help. But I'm so happy that it will help you bring you together.
Well, if we get our legislators involved, it would be eventually, and have that awareness and having them making policy, that'll be huge. I'm glad the CEOs got to see that plastic island out there.
Yeah, check out the article in the handout. It's fascinating. Yeah, it's very cool.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Monica, for your hard work.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, maybe.
And you're going to email us all your great information.
Yeah, I'm going to email it to Carol Ann right now, and she can get it out to everyone who was registered. And
so excited. There was some great things.
Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
helpful.
I can't wait to get the handout. All right, thank you, Monica. Thank you, everyone,
Okay.
for coming tonight.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you.
Great program.
Bye,
Good
Sarah.
job.
Bye,
Stay
Lisa.
safe. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good night.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Bye,
It was
Lisa.
great.